brought up Ahmaud Arbery. I brought up Breonna Taylor. I just listed off these murders, and I was like, this has to stop, but we need to spread awareness around what was going on or what is going on. So we are going to run these miles to spread awareness around what happened. Support, donate if you can. After the first week, I think we raised about $12,000. We started getting texts on Monday like, hey, I know you just did this, but would you mind doing it again? We missed it. So I did it again the next weekend, 48 miles again. And by the end of it, we had raised close to $60,000.
It starts with just taking that leap.
Man, you have to work hard. You have to be incredibly smart.
Choose something that even if it fails, you are going to be proud of it.
Doesn't matter how badly you've gone beaten in battle.
Be kind, be kind, be kind.
Become a better person, a better leader, the better business.
Go with your gut.
I'm Samuel Donner, and this is Finding Founders.
I did this, and I feel like this is what I should be doing in life. Like, this is my purpose.
From raising $60,000 to support social justice, to founding the Venice Run Club, a run club with over 1,000 runners, to the Abbot Kinney One Race, Justin Shields has always been successful in creating inclusive environments that connect people to the community. Justin continues to make his mark on Venice, one stride at a time. But let's go back to where this race starts, in Berkeley, California.
Earliest memories. I think of Berkeley. I think of Birkenstocks and socks, People's Park, hippie movement. I remember a few things that happened, and I was about 5 or 6, and I remember my mom was walking me to school, and I saw one of my buddies, one of my friends, and he had 2 moms. I didn't know that at the time. I just thought he had maybe his mom and his aunt, brought him to school one day, but then they kept bringing him to school. And then one day I just asked my mom, I was like, why does he have 2 moms bringing him to school? And my mom straight up told me, they're together, they're married. Those are his parents. And it was that moment where I realized it was I guess you don't need a male and a female to be a parent of a child. And it opened up my worldview at such a young age. And growing up where I did, it's peace, love, and happiness type vibe.
How do you think Berkeley, why is Berkeley different than the rest of America and other major cities?
I can't really speak on the foundation of it. I have no idea how it got the way it did, but I just know everyone has this very strong community feeling. I kind of feel like you're valued for being your true, authentic self. Doesn't matter who you are. And when you have a bunch of people like that, like-minded individuals, it creates this nice, supportive environment.
Do you feel like you were supported in being your true self as you were growing up? As you were going 5, 6, 7, 8, getting into young adulthood?
My parents, they laid it out very simple. Follow your passion, be your true self, be kind to others, everyone. Simple as that. As long as you're a good person, as long as you try your best, and pretty much everything in your focus, whatever you put your mind to, you'll be fine. And with my parents, I just remember them teaching me at a young age about same-sex parents, teaching me no matter where someone comes from, what their upbringing is, their background, doesn't matter. This is a person that deserves respect. So arrive for that person. Be true to that person. Try and understand who they are, where they come from, because every person that you encounter, you come across, have something of value to provide you, something that you can learn from. I didn't really have to encounter someone who was that different than me until college. So high school, Berkeley, it's a vacuum.
That's surprising because it's when you say high school Berkeley, you talk about this place that is this cultural melting pot where people can be themselves and express their unique, authentic inner person, right? And so I would expect there to be a cacophony of different voices, a myriad of different personalities and backgrounds.
It's interesting. In hindsight, it was a bubble. That's what it was. It was a bubble in hindsight when I grew up there. It seemed like everyone thought the same. Everyone had the same views, very liberal views, which is fine. I just thought that's how the world thought. Everyone did. And it wasn't until college, that's when I saw different viewpoints. And I got to hear different viewpoints from people from different backgrounds and upbringing. But in Berkeley, yes, a myriad of different people, similar viewpoints.
So then when you went to college, how did that change?
I went to Chapman University in Orange County, Orange County. And it was my first week there. And I went to a 24-hour fitness. The first thing I see, so I walk in, go to the free weight section. I see a very large man. I think he was about 6'4", about 250 pounds, like swole up. And he had on a wife beater. And he had a bald head. And he had a swastika tattoo on his head. I remember calling my dad and telling him that story. And he was so confused, like, that's really a thing? Like, what? He was like, are you serious? And I was like, yes, that's what I saw. He didn't say anything to me, but that's what I saw my first week in college.
What do you feel like that signaled to you?
I'm not in Berkeley anymore. Honestly, it was that simple. Like I'm the type of person I can adapt to like situations. So when I saw that, my first thought was, let me not come across that guy or cross his eyesight, his line of sight. But honestly, I saw that and I realized I'm not in my normal comfort zone right now. Like I said, I can adapt to plenty of places, but I might have to move a little differently than I would back home.
You say move a little differently. How so?
You can't really be you can, but your true authentic self when there isn't someone around you or people around you that have the same, I guess, way of thinking.
So what did you feel like you had to mask?
So just to give a little context and just like describe the situation. I played lacrosse in college. If I asked you to look up a lacrosse player in the encyclopedia, they wouldn't look like me because not many black people play lacrosse. So you go to a place where you play lacrosse, just playing lacrosse itself. You're not encountering plenty of black people. You go to Chapman, which is a conservative Christian university where majority of the kids there come from conservative backgrounds. So in that in itself, you're not finding many people of color, right? And so like I'm encountering kids who never had a black friend. So the way I would usually talk, the slang that I would use, like my first encounter was I used some Bay Area slang that I would use with my friends in a group message. And I remember I didn't get a response. And the next day at practice, they were like, I'm sorry, we couldn't respond. We had no idea what you were talking about.
Really?
Like, yeah.
What were you saying?
It was very simple. We were all supposed to meet up, but I had a lot of homework. So I sent them a text. And I said, sorry, I can't meet up. I'm catting off right now. I have a lot of work. And catting off just means like you can't show up, like you're not there. So and that was it. I thought it was easy to like understand like what it meant, but so like simple things like that.
Like subtle isolation there.
Yes.
Did you actually feel the isolation? Was it difficult or
100%. 100%. So give an example, like another story. We are driving to a lacrosse tournament, like a fall ball tournament, and we were driving from Orange County to Arizona. So it was like 8 to 10 hour bus ride, and we were watching movies, and we were watching, what was that movie? Role Models, that movie, and there was a little black kid in the movie, and he had a role model, and I guess he was stealing, he stole something in the movie, and the character goes, why do you think I stole that? Is it because I'm black? Everybody in the bus turned around and looked at me. Everybody looked at me.
How does that feel?
Isolated. You're the focus, but you're isolated because no one else can share that experience with you. You're the only person. Or something as simple. In this situation, I think people feel like they are helping you out or giving you a voice. But I remember in class one time, the teacher asked like me in front of everybody, asked me for the Black opinion on a topic. Justin, could you provide us with the Black opinion of this? I was like, I can't speak for all Black people, but it's like situations like that where I think she thought she was doing good, but it further isolated me from everyone else. So just those are the situations that I encountered. And gosh, I was called the N-word at least a dozen times.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Why did you go to that school?
Good business school. Wanted to play lacrosse as well, but didn't want to travel too far. Didn't want to go too far. And the thing is, though, I value my experience there. It was fantastic. I met some great friends. I felt like it was all a learning opportunity. I met so many people from backgrounds that were different from everyone I grew up with, different ways of thinking. I feel like it made me into a more well-rounded person where I can now connect with people from a wide array of backgrounds. I met some of my best friends still today from Chapman. Yes, those were incidents that happened, but I hold zero grudges, or I don't put anyone at fault.
Yeah,
it just happened.
Seems like you came into that school with an open mind, and you came in with it seems like the intention of just connecting with a wider array of people.
Exactly.
So, why did you want to do business? Or is that just the default because I have no fucking clue what I want to do?
Exactly. It was like, what are you going to do? Do you want to study history, English, that sort of thing? I think you grow up. I grew up in Northern California during the .com era. Like starting a business and starting a startup or being a part of one, that just seemed like the thing to do. I mean, of course, I don't know, like a lot of people grow up and they want to be like athletes, doctors, that sort of thing. I wanted to be an athlete, but realistically, I wanted to be a part of a startup. I wanted to start a business. That seemed cool. Being an entrepreneur seemed fantastic. So let me learn the ways of business.
Did you have any entrepreneurial inklings or moves in college?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was just partying. That's it. I honestly didn't do anything. I didn't start anything. I always, for all the sports I played growing up, I was always a team captain. I was always a community guy. I always brought our people together. College, team captain, multi-years. Something I did, I set up the team potlucks and parties and things like that. I brought everyone together in the hopes of making us a stronger unit. That's something I did. And that's something that my coaches always saw in me, was my ability to bring people together and being the voice of reason. I like to understand why people are the way they are, how they got to this point, where they're from. I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing it just for empty knowledge or empty information, or if I can use it at another time, but I just find people interesting. Doesn't matter who they are, where they come from. I just like to hear their story.
When did you feel most connected to the people around you?
I don't know if people thought I was the sage or something, just because of my chill demeanor, but I was the guy who everyone asked for relationship advice or friend advice, or how can they, work through a certain situation that I would have no idea what the heck they're talking about. But that's when I felt most connected, when I was listening.
So when you got to the end of college, or getting near the end of college, were you thinking what am I going to do with my life? Or did you know?
No, I still don't know. Honestly, it's still changing. To be completely honest, fully transparent, I still don't know. And it's changing, and it's adjusted multiple times over the past, 11 years, right? So after I graduated, I was dating a girl at the time. Hope she's doing well. Fantastic. But it's it was one of those situations where either we move in together or I'm moving home ultimatums. So we moved in together.
Was the relationship good?
Young love, different expectations, known each other since high school. Yeah. College relationship type vibe, and fantastic person, right? Great person. But that's not what I wanted.
What did you not want?
I wasn't ready for children and the domestic life. I wasn't ready for that. I had ambition. I wanted to achieve something, and I know you can grow together and do that, but honestly, I just wasn't ready for it with that person. So after living together for a little while, we broke up the day after Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Yeah, it was rough. Was
that your prompting?
Yeah, it was. So what happened was the day before Valentine's Day, my buddies who lived in Venice, they came down because I was still living in Orange County. They came down to party at one of the seniors in college, his house. So everyone came back to party in college, and I live right down the street. So I went to hang out with the boys. After a night hanging out with the boys, I was like, it's that fulfillment thing. I just wasn't fulfilled.
What about partying brought that?
It was spending time with my friends. I didn't care about partying. Still don't. Never really did. And it was seeing my friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. It was being connected with the group again that made me realize I needed more of that in my life. So after living together for a little while, we broke up.
Did you move out?
Yeah, I lived with my my friend who I actually started everything with.
Tyler Stanley.
Yeah, it was my homie. It was my dog. And he let me stay with him.
Did you have a job?
I was working at a high school. So doing a little bit of substitute teaching, and I was coaching lacrosse.
Okay, so where do you go next? Like what?
So again, I commend myself for my ability to adapt to situations. I have a very it is what it is mindset, but not settling, just dealing with the situation and then trying to grow from there. So this was during the summer, and I'm coaching lacrosse, going to like these tournaments, but I'm young. I'm like 23, and I'm living in Huntington Beach, and it was nice. It was beautiful. We're close to the beach, but coaching lacrosse, been going every weekend. I have friends that are living in LA. They're going to Coachella. They're going to Splash House. They're doing all these fun things. And on my weekends, I'm coaching lacrosse in like Pasadena. These all-day tournaments.
Did you feel like you were missing out?
Oh, 100%. That's when I felt like I didn't feel like I was regressing. I just felt like I was stagnant. And going back to the fulfillment thing, I was not happy at all. I just wanted to explore more. I wanted to do more, achieve more.
At that time, like, what was the dream?
There wasn't a dream. It was just experience. It's just because, I've never been a partier. Like the first time I got drunk, I was like 19. But even in college, I wasn't much of a partier. But I just saw my friends experiencing things. They were traveling. I think they went to like Bali in the early 20s, like 10 years ago. And I was like, I would love to go to Bali right now. I don't know where that is, but it just sounds incredible to like go hang out. And they got a big like house, Airbnb. They stayed there for like a month. It just seemed fantastic. And now I'm in like San Diego coaching lacrosse for like high school kids.
So what was the move to, I guess, experience the things that you saw your friends experiencing that you wanted to?
It was luck. It was a crazy situation. I found these two guys, and they had just started a company, a Study Kick. It's a marketing company, and they help identify patients for clinical trials. And the two guys are super cool. I got the position, but this is what I thought to myself. Like when I started the job, I went in there, it was a shoebox. It was literally a shoebox. It was in some strip mall with 2 rooms and 1 bathroom. And I thought to myself, it's the summer. I can always go back to what I'm doing, like once the school year starts. And this was the best decision at the time. So that's how it's going now. This is the best decision of my life, staying, because that was 10 years ago, and I'm still with the company.
You're still a Study Kick?
Still there.
Really?
Yeah.
How did it start growing?
2 great guys who cared about the community and value of what they're providing to the patient. So we are identifying patients for clinical trials. Clinical trials, a lot of people look at it as you're testing lab rats, random people off the street. Now, these people actually have to have the indication of the disease that they're testing for. So we built up patient communities to connect to these different trials. And something they taught me was always innovate, like never become stagnant with anything you do. Always become innovative, always remain innovative, and try to provide value to the people that you're supporting. Doesn't matter who it is. it has to be something of value. So we grew, we were successful. We were acquired by a private equity firm in 2016.
Yeah. How many people were employed at the first sale?
2016, 15. At the second one in 2021, like 50. Wow. Yeah. So now we're part of like a 30,000 employee company.
What did you learn like working with such a fast growing company, being on the ground floor of that?
Providing value to the people around you. Like, what can you do to provide value? I feel like we're now more focused on extraction a lot of times when it comes to interactions and relationships. With Minds, it was, how can we both benefit, and what value can I provide, and what value can you provide me?
Was there any moment where either a big win or a big loss during that time period?
The thing is, and what I learned from them, they're both two of the most optimistic people I've ever encountered. Both of them. I've never seen either of them mad. It was always positive. Yes, there were losses because do sales. Like I work in business development. I work in sales. You lose deals. That's fine. It happens. Because if you come with a negative attitude, that's going to carry over to the next call or email or something that you send. So remain positive the whole time. But I would say one of the best learning experience, one of the best experiences, it changed my life because I love talking to people. But when you present in front of hundreds of people, it's a little different. So I remember I went to, and we're a small group, so we would go to like these pharmaceutical conferences. We went to one in Washington, D.C., and they were scheduled to be a speaker, speaking on the value of communities, social media, and why it would help with clinical trial patient recruitment, right? So that was their topic. And so I'm walking them over to the room where it's happening, and I was going to sit in the back, and normally they present, and I take pictures and that sort of thing. I'm just there for support. They're like, "Oh no, you're scheduled to do this," and I was like, "What?" Like they were like, "No, like we signed you up to present. We all worked together on the slides that they were going to present." So they're like, "You know the slides, you know the information. You've been here for 3 years. You know exactly what to say. We worked on it last night, so go up there and do it." And they left the room. Like they left. They didn't watch it. They're like, they said afterwards, they're like, "We kind of feel like it would have made you nervous if we were there, but we trusted you." And I gave an hour presentation to about 200 people. Didn't know what was happening, but it was that trust that they gave me, providing opportunities to the people on your team, allowing them to show their value and capitalize on their potential as well, because they obviously saw something in me. It was that story that honestly changed my life. That changed my life. It gave me the confidence of speaking in front of a large group of people without having an issue. It also just showed me the value of providing and giving confidence and opportunities to members on your team.
So you have this like amazing rise with StudyKick. And before your second, like the company sells for a second time in 2021, it's 2020. And how do you get the idea for Venice Run Club?
But between 2014 in 2020, I was commuting down to Irvine from Venice. So in 2014, I moved from Huntington to Venice. I moved. And I actually bought a hybrid for the drive. And for 6 years, every day, I never missed. Every day. I was like, I love the position I'm in and what it's given me. I'm willing to sit in the car for 2 hours a day. No issue. Like, I don't care. And then everything stopped. And I didn't have to drive down there anymore. So now I'm working in my office, and a few things happened. A few social events happened. We had the pandemic, we had COVID, but also there was Ahmaud Arbery. He was killed in Georgia. He was running, black guy running. He was looking at a house that was being built, and he was chased down by 3 dudes in a pickup truck, shot in the back. As a black male, as a runner, I had done marathons, triathlons at that point. I understood how it felt to run in places where people don't look like you, right? When you're training for a marathon, you run 20 miles, you would have to run around Venice plenty of times to get those 20 miles. So I might end up in Manhattan Beach or something, or somewhere around there. I might end up in the Palisades. Not many people look like me. So that one hit close to home for me. And then Breonna Taylor happened in Memphis, and then George Floyd happened. So all these things happened in like 4 to 5 months. George Floyd put everything under a microscope. Like, that's when everything shut down. That's when there were the protests. Plus, it's COVID. So only thing you can really do is read what's going on.
Yeah, what was your response to this? Was it just like increasing levels of anger, frustration? I'm curious, what are the emotions that are building up as these events are unfolding?
It was an onslaught of just text messages, emails, DMs, because I think about college. I was the only black guy on the team. So I mentioned earlier that I was most likely the only black friend that a lot of these people have had. So when all these things happen, you look at the one black person you know. So I was receiving text messages from people I haven't spoken to like 6-7 years. like, I'm sorry if I did something, like, I'm so sorry. And it was interesting. People, I don't know if they thought I was the savior, their salvation, but it was cool to have conversations with people I hadn't spoken to in a while.
How did that feel to get those texts? Was there any like feeling of like uneasiness, or were you like, how did you feel about it?
It was tough because a lot of people I did have love and respect for, but I didn't know if it was out of desperation or they were actually interested in understanding how I felt, or they were doing it because they felt guilty and they felt like this was the way for them to remove their guilt. I honestly didn't know, but all I know was I needed to take a step back. I needed to separate myself from it because I feel like I'm not the person that can grant you this salvation. I can't grant you whatever you're looking for. I needed to get away. I needed an escape, but I didn't know how to get one. I didn't know what to do. But so like I'm thinking about how can I escape my reality right now without being able to travel. So David Goggins, fitness guy, he does a running challenge every February, runs 4 miles every 4 hours till he runs 48 miles. And I remember calling my buddy, Tyler, do you want to do this with me? And he's like, I'm going to be completely honest with you, man. I have a date with this girl I've been planning since I was in New York, and I'm finally here. And he showed me a picture and he was like, would you cancel? And I was like, no. I was like, no, like, you're good. Like, the miles will be there. Go on the date. And he was like, hold on, let me call you back. So he called me back in like 10 minutes. He was like, dog, we're doing it. Let's go. Like, we're doing it. That can wait. So he was like, a great idea though. Like, what if we like donated it to a cause? Like, what if we like did it for a cause, like donated funds? It's like, you know what? That's perfect. Let me find a nonprofit. Let me write this up on GoFundMe. So I went home literally at so it's like 2 p.m. on a Thursday. And I created the GoFundMe page, typed it up real quick. Both of us did a front-facing video.
What did you write on the GoFundMe page, and what were you filming at like that video? Like what was there?
I brought up Ahmaud Arbery. I brought up Breonna Taylor. There was a guy who I actually grew up with who was killed in Oakland. His name was Gary King. So he was killed by the police. And I just listed off these murders, and I was like, you know, this has to stop. But we need to spread awareness around what was going on or what is going on. So we are going to run these miles to spread awareness around what happened. Support, donate if you can. And I posted on GoFundMe. I had like 500 followers, private Instagram account. He had like 3. He didn't even have a profile picture. It was just blank. It's like we didn't really care about social media. And I kid you not, the power of social media. In 29 hours. So we posted it at 2. The first run was going to be at 7 p.m. on Friday. So 29 hours. We had raised $5,000.
From where?
People saw the video. They shared it with their family members. They shared it with their friends, and they just donated. One of the responses I got from this was, there's so much information going around. We don't know where to turn, what to believe. You just made it a lot easier for us. I remember waking up at 3 a.m. on Sunday, tearing up because I was so tired, just like sleep deprived, body was hurting. And honestly, there were some thoughts like, man, forget police brutality. Like, Let him have it. I don't know if it's worth it to run anymore. But, he brought it back really quickly. And I was like, the people that suffer from this, like me with lack of sleep, a few sore muscles, that's fine. These people are dead. Like, they're not coming back. The family's affected. They're not getting this person back. So I'm going to do what I can to finish these miles. After the first week, I think we raised about $12,000. We started getting texts on Monday like, hey, like, I know you just did this, but would you mind doing it again? I missed it. And I remember
doing it again. Yeah. You're like, I'm already dying here.
I'm like, are you serious right now? I remember calling Tyler and I was like, do you see these messages? And he's like, dog, I don't know if I could do this. It was like, I don't know. And I was like, let's do it. Do what you can. Just do what you can. So I did it again the next weekend, 48 miles again. And by the end of it, we had raised close to $60,000.
How did that feel?
Fulfilling. Fantastic.
Had you felt that feeling like in your life before that moment?
The only other time I felt that was my wedding day.
Wow. What was the feeling?
The reason why I started running was because I wasn't fulfilled. So that's why I started. I did this and I felt like this is what I should be doing in life. Like, this is my purpose. Like, I love this. I love helping people. And I felt like I was bringing people together. People came out and supported us. Like, we had 12 runs of 4. So people would message us, hey, where are you running next? Where are you running? What time are you meeting? We met at the same spot every time. People would show up and run with us. And I was the leader. I was leading the group. People would support. We had 750 unique donors. After finishing that, I remember talking to Tyler, and we thought to ourselves, like, what can we do next? Like, let's do something again. It was the first school year starting during COVID. So we had the idea. We were like looking around, we're like, okay, LA, huge school district, second largest in the US behind New York. Why are the LAUSD schools all inner city schools? And why is their funding ridiculously low compared to the other schools? It's a high percentage of kids that qualify for free or reduced price lunch, LAUSD. So we were like, they're setting up these grab and go food centers throughout LA, and they had a donation link on their website. So we decided to run 148 miles in a month. 148 a month. It came out to 4.8 a day. I don't know, the 4s and 8s just worked out. And we raised a little over $12,000. So a couple of things we noticed. 12,000 in a month is way less than 60,000 in 10 days. So we're wondering why. We're wondering, is it because people are used to the inequality in education? The distribution of funds throughout the different school district? Is that why? Or is it not the top of the news cycle like the George Floyd situation was?
That's what I would think. I would think it was just like before you captured like a moment.
Mm-hmm.
You were there in a moment.
But it also made us think, why isn't this as important? Again, this is our future. These are the kids.
Did the feeling feel different at that point when you raised the 60,000 and like you're like, oh wow, this is what I should be doing? Like, it was connected to a cause that you not only had you felt personally, but like the world was passionate about. And then as you're working up to do the run for the school district, do you feel the same kind of like sense of fulfillment there?
Afterwards, 100%.
Really?
I loved it all. Yes. It was just my thought process switched a little bit. That was all. I felt fully fulfilled. I felt like this is what I wanted to do and what I needed to do.
Well, this is what like the world wants me to do.
Yes. I was like, I'm destined to do this now. But the only thing that switched was I thought about a couple of things. I can't ask people for money every month. People get sick of you if you would do that. I also I realized that if I'm not going to do a fundraiser every month, I'm going to need a way to drive awareness and engagement to what we've done. So we had the idea of creating a nonprofit, 48 for Change, the 48 miles. So the first event was called 48 for Floyd. The second event was called 48 for the kids. And we're like, let's call it 48 for Change, because that's what we're pushing for change and these different societal issues. So we created that 48 for Change nonprofit. But I thought to myself, okay, what are we going to do to keep awareness on 48 for Change? if all of our events and fundraisers were running based, I'm going to create a run club. Yes, we're unique. No one else has run clubs. And I want to call it 48 Run Club because of 48 miles. Couple of things I was wrong about. Run clubs weren't unique. They were all out, all throughout LA, all throughout the world. We're kind of late. And 48 for Change wasn't the best. 48 Run Club wasn't the best name. I would have to tell this long story every time. So I live in Venice. I love Venice, fitness-focused city. I'm most likely going to raise my family here. I've been here for 7 years now. Call it the Venice Run Club. And the Instagram handle was available. So call it the Venice Run Club. And that was the start. August 2020, the Venice Run Club.
Was that first run significant in any way?
Wow, the first run was crazy. Like, it was wild. So I have an Instagram. I created Venice Run Club Instagram, and I have my personal. So I'm posting on my personal. Like, I think I got like someone from Upwork or something to create a flyer, super cheap flyer, like create something real quick for me. And I posted on my story, cross-posted Venice Run Club, and I'm like, show up, like 48 for Change. We created a run club, the Venice Run Club, and I'm hyped for it. I walk downstairs from my room. One of my roommates is in the kitchen making breakfast. And I was like, Sebastian, this is the first run for the Venice Run Club. You don't want to be on the wrong side of history. He didn't even own running shoes. He ran a Kyrie Irving basketball shoes. And we're walking to the liquor store where we'd meet. We met at the liquor store for all the 48 for Floyd runs. And that became the meeting spot of the run club. So we're walking there, and I'm expecting to see tons of people. There's no one there. And we wait 10 minutes. No one shows up. It's just Sebastian and I. That's it. The first run, 2 people. If Sebastian didn't come, I would have been by myself. Like, actually, I would have been by myself. So we knocked out those 4 miles, and I had a thought to myself. I was like, this is fantastic.
Why?
Because it was mine. I had ownership over it. It was mine. And I told myself, it doesn't matter if I'm running by myself. I'm going to take a selfie and post it, and I'm going to be that delusional person that feels like it's going to grow to the biggest thing. And that was week 1. And this is how little I knew about running. We were meeting Saturday, and I don't know if you remember that summer during COVID in LA. It was so hot all the time. We're meeting Saturdays at 10 a.m. By the time it's 10 a.m., it's already scorching hot. So we're running in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And it was burning up. Peak
Everyone's getting sunburnt.
The next week, we had 5 people. I even got a buddy of mine to take photos, pro photos. It's a hilarious thing. Pro photos of 5 people running. And he rode around on his bike. He took photos of us. And these were all my friends. They happened to be out of town the week before. So they showed up, and then they posted it. Now they're a part of this. They posted it. The next week we had like 6. The 4th week we had 11 runners on a Saturday. But that was the first Saturday I switched to 8:30 a.m. First Saturday, week 4. We're only running once a week, and that was the run where I met my now wife.
How did you meet?
She showed up to the run. So a girl who I went to college with. So when I was a senior playing lacrosse, she was a freshman, and she was dating one of my teammates. And you have a bunch of teammates, and she's a freshman. I don't know who his girlfriend is. I don't remember who she was. I didn't know who she was. But I remember being at the gym right here in Marina Del Rey, and I just remember this person like staring at me. And it was one of those things like, this person staring at me. She looks kind of familiar. I don't really remember who this person is. She came up and talked to me, and she asked if I went to Chapman. I play lacrosse. And then she was like, I was dating your teammate. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was you. Long story short, she started following me. This was in like November 2019. She started following me, and it was just, we're following each other. She showed up to some of the 48-mile runs as well. So she stayed engaged. She showed up to the runs. So when she showed up to the Venice Run Club run, I think it was week 3, on week 4, when we moved it to 8:30, she posted it on her story. My now wife worked at the same company as her, saw it, showed up. So she lived in Palos Verdes with her family during COVID. Like, she moved home, and she drove up from Palos Verdes to Venice 8:30 in the morning to go to this run. That just shows you how much people really wanted community at that time. I told myself at the beginning of the run club that this is a business. I'm not hooking up with any of the runners.
Yeah.
Nobody. It's not happening. It's like a single guy leading this. It's not the best look, and it's not the best way to grow something as well. So we're solid. She kept showing up.
Do you talk?
Of course. Like we talked. I talked to all my runners. Like something that I did, and I still try to do, but it's hard when you have like 1,000 runners, is I would personally go up and talk to each individual person, every person, find out who they are, their name, of course, their name, where they're from, where they went to school, study that, what do they do. I try to find out some pieces of information about them, find out a little more about them. And so I found out who she was. I knew exactly who she was. And then we started having Wednesday runs. So it went from Saturday to Saturday and Wednesday. When we did our first Wednesday run, we had 15 people. So it grew. I was like, this is our largest run ever. It was crazy. So our Wednesdays became our biggest runs. And then she said, I study advertising in school. So I know how to create like flyers and Facebook, Instagram ads and posts and all that stuff.
Now she's trying to get involved.
Yeah, now she's supporting. Now she's providing value.
And at this point, it's just y'all talking.
Just us. Yeah, we're just chilling. Hanging out. And she started like handling the Instagram, and I didn't give her access to it. She would send me the stuff. I didn't give her access. It took her, she would tell you, like it took her about a year. Like it wasn't until after we were married where she got access to the Instagram. I held it close. She fought for it for a long time. And then she started helping with like the flyers and the post, and she curated the Instagram. So everything that you see, that's all her still to today.
She has a great design eye.
She's good. She's very good. And she slid into my DMs. So it was my mom's birthday. And I post that, happy birthday, mom, yada, yada. She responds to the story. And she goes, oh my goodness, your mom is so cute. And I'm like, okay. So we start talking. And I said, I'm going for it. I don't care. I'm breaking my rule. And I was like, what's your number? Like, let's go for a run, classic, on Monday. Let's go for a run on Monday, 6 a.m.
6 a.m. run.
And I didn't know she was living in Palos Verdes, though. So she was commuting every day, even during the week, midday. And so, like, if you ask her.
How long is that drive?
If you're driving rush hour, that's an hour plus, easy. But here's the thing. She'll tell you, I slid in the DMs. She was driving an hour plus to see me multiple times a week. So, like, let's come on. So we come to Monday, and she drives up, and she's there early, 5:55. I made her a loaf of bread on Sunday. And
you made her a loaf of bread?
I did. COVID hobby. I made her a loaf of bread. So I was literally in her phone.
Wow, you were one of the people that got their own sourdough starter.
I did. I threw it away after that. That was the last loaf I made.
Wow. I mean, hey, sealed the deal there.
I was bread boy in her phone for like 2 months. I didn't have a name.
Impression.
It's true. So we went on a run, and it was a 7-mile run. That 7 miles changed my life because the first 3.5, we were talking. It was vibing, conversational pace. I don't know what happened. Maybe she's super competitive. She is super competitive. The 9:30 pace turned into a 7-minute pace, then to a 6:45 pace. And then we weren't talking. We were just running hella fast. And I got a side cramp with 1.5 miles left. So I'm trying my hardest.
So she was running past you. She was pushing you.
Yeah, she's speedy. And I'm a chiller. I jog slow. So once she like kicked it up, I was like, what the heck is happening here? The conversation stopped. Not a word was said the last 30 minutes. And we finished the run. And then that Wednesday, we went and got tacos after the run. And that's when we started dating.
What do you like about her as you got to know her more?
Oh, my goodness. Super compassionate. She doesn't put herself first. It's what can she do to make the people around her better, happy, the community. She's super artistic as well, smart, driven. Like she's more driven than I am, and I have to keep up with her. It's fantastic, crazy athletic, of course, beautiful.
Wow, I can see how much you love her through how you talk about her.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, she's fantastic. She's funny too.
How did the Run Club develop after, like, I guess she got more involved, you guys got more involved together? Like what were some of the milestones that you hit as you were growing the run club? Because like so far, like this far in the story, it's like what, a couple dozen people, right?
It's I think we topped out at about 18 runners, and a couple like significant things happened in November 2020. So it's only 2 months after we, 3 months after we started, but I sent an email out to a few members of the people at On Running, because I'm like this.
And what's On Running?
On Running is a Swiss-based shoe brand, apparel brand, and they're having the moment. They're popular right now. They're all over. They just opened up a shop on Abbot Kinney. So I'm reaching out to On, because I thought to myself, we are a nonprofit. We've raised $70,000+ We have a run club with 20 runners per week. I was like, we're unique. Like, people would want to sponsor us. So I sent an email out to some members of the On team.
And this was very targeted. It wasn't like you're sending out a blast. It was like this shoe brand.
I sent it out to Nike too.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to send it out to Nike.
Yeah.
I sent it out to Nike. But I saw Nike already had like run clubs in the city, and they were a lot bigger than us. And I just didn't feel like it was the right fit. Like, Nike's massive, one of the largest companies in the world. And I felt connected to them. I had a pair of their shoes before they were like, not sound like hipster, before they were cool, but like I just know the brand. And I like found some people that had the job title like community, marketing, engagement, that sort of thing. And I just sent out emails to them, same email. But I set up a call with one of their athletes who also worked there. It was crazy. He's an athlete, so he ran 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents.
7 days and 7. That's insane.
He's also a Red Bull athlete as well.
That's insane.
And all of his marathons were sub 3.
Well, I guess it makes it easier with the travel when you're doing something.
Yeah, you know. But he also worked there.
Wow.
So he was a special guy. His motor and his energy is crazy. Something I've never seen before.
Yeah, insane.
And so I'm speaking with him, and he had just got back from a run. I think it was like 18 miles or something. And I pitched him who we are, like what the vision is. What
was the vision?
We're a small run club, but what I want to do is I want to impact change and like spread awareness around different societal issues. And the vehicle for that is through the run club. So we have this group, 20 people, 2 runs a week, that I'm able to spread the message to. They're a part of this. And after sharing the story with them about how it started, what I have envisioned, he was like, this is great. I'm going to connect you with another team member. Like, let's set up another call. Then the next call we had was with the head of North American marketing for On, which was crazy. The second call,
yeah,
like, I'm trying to imagine.
You're going up the
second call.
chain.
I started thinking about larger companies. Imagine me trying to connect with the head of North American marketing for one of the large shoe brands at the time, like a Nike or Adidas or something. It would never happen. Like this run club, like small run club with 20 people. So I spoke with her, and that conversation, it changed our lives. She said after that conversation, I don't know what we can do with you, but we're going to do something. You have our support. In November 2020. That's what she said. So after that, they wrote an article about us. I think it was published in January 2021. They posted on their website, and they sent us like all shoes. And it was that moment where more people started to show up because people like read the article. They would show up to the run.
Yeah, so this was like advertising for the run club almost.
Exactly.
So how many people are showing up at this point?
So we probably went from a high of 18. Let's say it's about January, February of 2021 to about 25.
Okay.
To about 25 runners.
All right, but hey, that's growth.
It's not bad, honestly.
That's growth.
Wednesday, 25 runners. On Saturdays, Saturday's interesting. It's LA. We probably had about 10, 8. So not bad. Still optimistic. Still focused. And then May came around. May 2021. Now, a couple of things happened. And leading up to that, so my now wife and I, my mindset is you can't really fake. You can try, but you can tell when things are real and genuine. I proposed in April. We met in August.
How many months was that?
7.
That's really quick.
Yeah. And we've been married for 2.5 years. But I proposed on my birthday.
Was she surprised?
Oh my goodness. This whole weekend was crazy. So I'm over her house so Monday was the 18th. Monday was the 19th. So it was the 18th. And we had this plan. I called off work already. I was going to miss work. And then we're sitting in her bed on Sunday night, and I receive a Instagram DM, and it was from Tyler's boss. And the Instagram DM, like, I knew who she was because Tyler talking about her all the time. And she's like, "Hey, Justin, like, just wondering if you've spoken to Tyler." And I was like, no, not since Friday. I know he was supposed to go like hang out rock climbing trip with some buddies. Why? She was like, he never showed up to that rock climbing trip. So I'm checking on him right now. Let me know if you hear anything. I gave her my phone number. 30 minutes later, she calls and said, Tyler's dead. Yeah, he passed away in his sleep. And no one had heard of him. Like, so he was, so like the official date of his death was April 16th. So they said he was there for all weekend. Of course, I tell Aaron. So Aaron's like, "Do you want to cancel your birthday?" But I'm like, "We can't. Like, I'm proposing to you tomorrow." I lived with Tyler's brother. So I was the first person to tell his brother. I had to break it to him. So I had to leave.
How are you feeling?
Stunned, honestly. Like, I haven't lost anyone that close to me before. And it was, you feel numb.
That's surprising.
So surprised, numb. He was 26, 27. And his brother's there. I have to tell. I'm the only person that knows. It was surprising for me, and I was stunned. I couldn't imagine being him, his brother, at the time, and hearing that. It was a Sunday night. He was getting ready to go to work. Like, he was going to bed. And I have to tell him that at like 11 p.m.
What did you say?
Well, I have a long face. Face is red. And I'm normally like a cheerful person. And he's like, "What's wrong, Jay? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, "I honestly don't know how to tell you, but like, Tyler passed away." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, I repeated it. And he was like, "My brother?" And I was like, "Yeah." And just silence, and then sadness, and then we just had to go through the whole like telling the parents and that whole situation. But the next day, I'm proposing to Aaron.
Did any part of you feel conflicted, or was it just like I know I need to do this 100%?
Well, I know I love Aaron. I love Tyler. Tyler loved Aaron as well. I talked to him about it. He knew it was happening. There was zero confliction about me doing it. I was sad the whole time. Like, and she knew what was going on as well. So we're both happy. It happened.
Was she confused?
Well, she was sad too, but she was happy. And so I'm receiving like text messages from both sides. "I'm sorry this happened, but like, congratulations."
What a weird mix of emotions.
I still struggle with it. Like, I have a framed photo of him in my office, just right there. I look at him every day. And the thing is, it's the next month we did the second 48 miles, and
with him in mind.
100%. So he was an engineer, and he told me plenty of times, he was like, so we did 48 for the kids because that's what we care about. We always joke like, our time has passed. It's the kids' time now. So let's do this for the kids. If we provide some of them with the opportunities that we've had, and provide some guidance, the same guidance that we had, it can change the trajectory of so many kids' lives. And he told me, he was like, if we can get some of these kids into the STEM field, the opportunities will be ridiculous. And every 48 has been about him. That's it. That's always the focus in mind. And that year, he was top of mind. He was the face of all the advertisement. We identified 2 nonprofits. One was called Chick Tech, Women in the STEM Field, and one was called Smash, Underrepresented Communities in the STEM Field. And everything was in his honor, all the money raised. So, yeah, he's never gone. He's always there. Yeah.
And be the seeds of something that has been so positive
Exactly.
for so many people. So as you kept building and continued to build with Aaron, like, how did the Run Club continue to grow?
After we got engaged and after the 48 miles, so what I've seen every year after the 48 miles, we have a spike every year. So it was like a month after the 48 run. So it's like late June. We have like 70 people on a Wednesday. And we're like, whoa, 70 people. Like, this is big.
And that's like, I mean, before you were topping out like
25.
Yeah.
25. And then after 48, the week after 48, we had like 35. And then 50. And then 60. And then the month later, 70. We're like, whoa, okay. And then the next week, we hit 77. And we're still a tight community at this point. And then in July of 2021, we hit 100 runners.
That must have been like a big milestone for you.
It was crazy. It was actually crazy. Like, we were so small that when we would meet up after runs, we were so small we were able to make phone reservations. Like, hey, we're going to show up with 20 people. Like, it would show up as a run club. But now with 100, we're like, oh, I don't know if we can do that anymore. Like, we're too big. And what happened was, now it's the end of summer 2021. And I had the idea. I was like, okay, the LA Marathon's in November. It's pushed back. It's normally like around March. It's pushed back because of COVID. So the LA Marathon's in November. I want to do something else. Like, what else can I do for the community, for the people? So I had an idea of doing the Venice 5K. So we host a 5K every October, the third Thursday of October. And the Venice 5K is just a race around the boardwalk and a bike path, Thursday, 8 p.m. at night. But there's a fundraising component. Well, it's a clothing donation. So I told all the runners and volunteers, if you want to be a part of the event, you have to donate clothes. And that first year, I think we donated a couple 100 pounds of clothes.
Wow.
That was fantastic. We had 140 runners. And 140 runners, and it took us about 2 weeks to get to the 140. Also, earlier that year, we became a sponsored run club of On.
So that's where they finally found a place for you to fit in.
Yes.
What was the thing where it's like, oh, okay, now it makes sense for you to be involved with us?
The reason why they brought us on is because they were starting a D&I department where they identify nonprofits in like the sporting world. And they identified us as one that was going to be the inaugural member. So that's why they brought us on. It's called Right to Run. Still active. The nonprofit's still a member of Right to Run. They didn't see the value of the Run Club. They saw the value of the nonprofit. They just thought we were just a group of young runners coming together. And I was telling them, no, we are the vehicle for the nonprofit. All the people that are donating these funds when we do these events, donating the clothes, they're part of the Run Club. They're just an arm of it. That's all it is. So all that awareness and engagement that you see, that's from the Run Club. After me pitching them, like, show some love to the Run Club, finally they were like, okay, we'll sponsor Run Club. We don't know how that's going to look. Kind of like the first conversation I had when they were like, I don't know what to do, but we're going to do something.
But hey, you're like that. You're moving towards this direction of like, okay, like now we're slowly defining what this relationship looks like.
Exactly. January 2022. And then we ran the marathon March 2022. And then we had 48 in May 2022. And this year was about homelessness. And there's a nonprofit in Venice called Safe Place for Youth. It's a youth homeless center. So we donated funds to them. And after that 48, our numbers hit like 250. And on our 2-year anniversary, I think we hit about 400 runners in August of 2022.
That's a huge amount of people.
Huge amount. We were the first organization to do co-branded merch with On. So we did the first iteration of co-branded merch November of 2022, where a lot of our runners ran the Malibu Half Marathon and a few runners ran the New York Marathon, and we gave it out to those runners. They're fantastic. And then in March 2023, we're back at the LA Marathon again. We had 175 runners complete the LA Marathon. 175.
I think that brings us to the Abbot Kinney one, because a lot of like the runs that you've been doing up until this point have like been technically illegal. Like,
group runs. We're just group runs. Yeah. But we're just a gathering of people just going for a run. That's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah. Just a gathering of people going for runs. But you know, we've had runs. So like thinking about 2023, I had this idea. I was like, all right, we have the marathon, right? 175 people. 2023, 48 miles. We do it every year. So this past year we did mental health. 2023, we had like 60 people do the full 48. That's crazy. And this is why I love On. This is why the connection is so tight. So they have the On store in Venice. They let us use it as the meeting spot. So we met there even at 11 p.m., 3 a.m., and everyone showed up there. It was our home base. And it's kind of like what I said, after the 48, we always have a spike. Always have a spike. So that summer we hit 1,100 runners for one run. But at this time, I'm thinking like, I want to do more. We have a community, a strong, solid community. People love the Venice Run Club. They have a connection to it. We have people in the Run Club who, kid you not, said verbatim, if it wasn't for the Run Club, I would have left a long time ago.
Really? Like left LA?
I would have left.
Like
because
these are, like you are their roots.
They moved out here because they want to move to LA. It's the end of the pandemic. They don't have a community. They don't like LA because they don't have a network. They find the Run Club, they find their friends, they find their significant other, and they stay. So I was like, I want to do more for the city, for the community. So my idea was, I was like, what would it be like if I do a real sanctioned, permitted race in Venice? So I started looking into it. And I soon found out why people don't do sanctioned races.
It is a bureaucratic nightmare.
Bureaucratic, red tape, long process. Like, so what I first did, you have to go online to the city portal and you describe the event and you say what streets you want to shut down. And then I thought to myself, it's like, you know, the most popular street in Venice, Abbot Kinney. Who founded Venice? Abbot Kinney. Right? Like, this is a significant, popular street. It's the heartbeat, one would say, of Venice. And I looked at the distance. It was like 1.6 miles. Okay. Talking to some of the track runners who like ran collegiately, like, yeah, the mile, I mean, that's what you judge everything on when you're running. What is your mile time? If you are new to fitness, you typically start in mile increments. Like, let me just build up. It's special. It's a special distance, the mile. So I came up with the name, Abbot Kinney One. Abbot Kinney One. And then I started putting in the work to create this 1 mile USA track and field sanctioned, city permitted, streets closed race.
And so what were you expecting and what was the result?
I mean, expecting, so like we've done the Venice 5K and that's an unsanctioned race. You don't need a permit. I mean, we don't have a permit for that. This one is proper. There's a lot of steps along the way. So like what you have to do for the city, you have to have insurance for the event. You need to sign an indemnification form and you need signatures from the businesses and residents. But then after I submitted like the insurance and the indemnification form, they're like, oh, you need to connect with the LAPD, the LAFD. You need to connect with the Department of Transportation. You need to connect with all these people to see what they need and require. And I was like, this wasn't in the original, the original scope. So spoke with the fire department. They're fantastic. Spoke with the police department, told them about the event. They thought it was cool. They said they would provide support. Spoke with the Department of Transportation, traffic officers, street closures. They thought it was fine. So I was like, okay, we have everything set up with the city. Now I need the signatures. Business to business, pounding the pavement, going from the residents to the businesses. But the beautiful thing about the community, the people want to help. So I got members of the Run Club.
You
rallied the team. Yeah. I told them about it and they're like, without question. So they hit all the residents, knocked it out. Boom. Then we hit all the businesses, knocked it out, got all the signatures, submitted everything. And then we literally get the permit 2 days before the race. It was ridiculous.
Right to the wire.
Literally 2 days. And it was like one of those
How
things.
long were you working on it?
6 months.
6 months.
6 months, yeah. But the thing is, though, once they gave the invoice, like the city gave the invoice, like you pay this, you get the permit. They gave me 2 days to pay it, but the price was wrong. And I'm like, hey, there's some adjustments that need to be made based off the conversation I had with this department. They're like, it's going to take 5 business days to register, but you still have to pay this. We'll make the changes on the back end and credit you. And I was like,
Was it significantly more than you had decided to pay, or
3x.
3 times the amount?
3 times. I called. I was like, this department said that they will decrease the price.
And I imagine it wasn't cheap, the original amount either.
No. So we paid that, got the permit, and so we're good to go. The event's happening, but it was 2 days before. But going back to like the setup of the event, it's a 1 mile race, and I wanted more than just the fast people. So we had 8 different heats. We had a 40 plus heat. So everyone 40 plus, called the Masters heat. We had men's and women's. We had the open heat. So it's pretty much open, whatever age you want to be. If you want to compete in that heat, you compete in that heat. Men's and women's. We had elite men's and women's, where for elite, you need to be invited or you need to submit a time. For men, it was sub 4:30. For women, it was sub 5:10 per mile. But the competition was so great that I dropped the men to sub 4:15 and women to sub 4:45. Yeah. And then we had a dog mile where dog and owner run it. And then we had friends and family. So it's like non-competitive, 0 prize money, kids under 11, strollers, that sort of thing.
There was prize money for each of these.
Every heat is set for the friends and family. Every heat. So the elite was first place, $2,250 for first place. For second place, $1,000. For third place, $500. For all the other events with prize money, it was first place $300, second place $150, third place $75. So those were the prizes. And I mean, when there's prize money involved, it gets serious. Yeah. So we have everything set up. You know, so dealing with the bureaucratic stuff, also creating the heats, I had to deal with setting up the event. We needed someone to build the start finish line, build like the covers, like the design, all that. So I had a beautiful branding team, hired a creative director. He created everything for the Abbot Kinney One. He did a fantastic job. Found a company to build the start line, but also produce like the imagery of the event, and it came together lovely. I had a nice group of partners and sponsors. So we set up kind of like a sponsor village. So as soon as you finish the race, you walk right into like different sponsors.
So everything's coming together. But then it's like, how many people are actually going to show up?
That was the biggest thing, because no one knows anything about this race. It's never happened before. So what are they going to base their decision off of? Of course, we're going to have people that sign up because it's a Venice Run Club event, but where are we going to find kids under 11? We don't have any of those. Like we have some parents with strollers pushing, running with us, but not many. 40 plus men and women, we have some, but this isn't a competitive heat. We don't have many of those. So it was unique. It was tough. So we had 600 total runners, and I was reaching out to run clubs, like competitive run clubs, like, hey, we have this event, like you should sign up. So it came together nicely. We had some beautiful partners. Like we had a partner whose 2 kids go to elementary middle school in Venice. So she sent out a text blast to all the moms.
So you said 600 people overall showed up.
Mm-hmm.
What did it feel like to have that many people show up for an event that was like sanctioned, like completely legit?
So once I got the permit, I'm like, oh my goodness. I started looking at, because I ran LA Marathon the next week, but the LA Marathon, they send out like pre-race information. So I just copied that. I was like, okay, I need to send out an email with like bib pickup location. So I had to set up like all the logistics. So we created a nice system where they would come in Friday and Saturday and pick up their bibs. But we worked for 14 straight hours handing out bibs.
Wow.
Like, this is a legit race. Like, it has to be done. So on race day, I show up at 4:30 because that's when the people set up the start and finish line. And as they were building it, I started to feel that same feeling I felt once I finished that first 48-mile event. I was like, all that work, it's here. There were nerves, excitement, So I'm getting everything together. And then what I dropped on Aaron was, I said, Aaron, we have a PA system at the start and finish line. I'm going to be at the start. Could you be at the finish line? And so she was at the finish line. So she announced like people coming in, and as the first heat is lining up, it is the Masters men 40 plus. The first race is supposed to start at 8:30. It's 8:10, and Aaron calls me. The finish line people, they said they won't be done till 9. I was like, oh my gosh, no. So I make an announcement. Everyone, I'm so sorry, but we're still building out the finish line. We're going to push back the start time to 9. I'm like, here we go. First event, of course we're late. Dang. Oh my goodness. Because you're trying to control everything. And then when it's out of your control, you're sitting there waiting. And this is your first event. You want to make a good impression. It's a sanctioned USA Track and Field, real permitted event. And we're late. Great. She calls me at 8:50. They said they won't be ready till 9:30. I said, 9:30, Aaron? Are you kidding me? She's like, yeah, 9:30. And I make another announcement.
No.
We're pushing it back to 9:30, an hour late. Mind you, we have a permit for a limited amount of time.
Yeah. And also it's just like you are offering up your reputation by putting on this event.
Exactly. 100%. People paid for this. They want a certain level of service. So I looked at the time and I said, okay, if we decrease the start, we started at 9:30. If we decrease the start time in between each heat, we'll be caught up by the next heat. So we'll be fine. So we'll still hit our timelines. So I made that announcement to everyone. So 9:30 hits. I count down. I blow the horn. First race is off. Second race goes. All the races, all the heats go. And then the dog mile goes. The issue is I'm standing at the start line. I never saw the finish line set up. I never saw a single person cross the finish line. So I didn't know how the event went. Only thing I can judge the event off of, we're an hour late. People were upset. That was it. And the elite runners, they're elite runners, so running is nothing to them. A mile, they would run up and down, back up and down the course. Because it's only a mile, they're running back up and down. And they would come up to me and say, that event was incredible.
Really?
Incredible. They're like, it was so fun. And I thought they were just being nice. And they just kept saying it. And everyone was like, this event was so great. They're like, do you see any videos? I was like, I honestly didn't see anything. So people are posting about it on Instagram.
Because also you're so caught up in the weeds just trying to make it work. It's like hard to enjoy what you've created.
I feel like when you create something like this, you want to make sure that everyone is happy. And especially if it's your first time, I want to make sure everyone's voice is heard. And if we're an hour late, someone must be upset.
Yeah.
But no. So what happened was I have a run club friend who ran in the elite heat. Fast guy. He's in the running world. He ran track at UCLA. So he's a high level runner. And when I was talking to him, I was voicing to him like how I thought the event was a fail. Like honestly thought it was. It was an hour late. He's like, bro, track meets are late all the time. Cross country meets are late all the time. Ask any runner. They're used to it. It happens. No one cares. And that gave me a little bit. And I was like, everyone was saying like it was so fun. He was like, bro, he's like, when you go to cross country meets or track meets, it's like your family there. Maybe you might have a friend go, but friends aren't traveling to go to your cross country meet. There were people on Abbot Kinney. Like, who's the girl that played Hermione? She was there. She didn't go to watch it, but she was there.
Crazy.
She was at Jelena Takeaway, getting coffee, or I think she was at Jelena, like waiting, and we were running, and there's a picture of her watching it. So like, there were people on Abbot Kinney doing regular stuff, and then when you see an event run by, you watch. So there are people cheering them on. We had hundreds of people at the finish line. They're like, when you go to these meets, you have your parents cheering you on.
Yeah, this is like a completely different vibe. And you've curated this vibe.
Random people cheering them on. So he's like, the reason why they said it was one of the best events is because they're being serious.
So by all accounts, it sounds like it was a super successful event. So like when you went to sleep that night, like...
So what happened was my wife and I, Aaron and I, we came back and we're just exhausted, like tired. We sat down. Phones are blowing up, like hundreds of tags, Run Club, us, text. I think my text messages hit like 250 when they were 0. And there was like this overwhelming joy, like fulfillment, completion that at that point I had never experienced. It was a different type of fulfillment than the 48.
Different how?
Oh, the months leading up to it, all the work, being able to bring the full community into it, not just our runners. This was the moment. I was like, yes, we have the Venice Run Club and we're part of the community, but this actually made me feel like I was a part of Venice.
Like you were a keystone.
I was. Like the members of the Venice Chamber of Commerce like reached out. They're like, this event's super cool. The city council district, they were like, next year we'll do it bigger.
After you finished that. That was recent. How long ago was that?
That was 11 days ago.
11 days ago.
Yeah.
So looking towards the future, like first, what is Venice Run Club today? And what are you most looking forward to in the future?
The Venice Run Club is just a melting pot of people from diverse backgrounds, different socioeconomic backgrounds, that's just coming together for one purpose. And that purpose, it varies. So like we just ran the LA Marathon 4 days ago. We had 315 runners run the marathon. We all came together and people reaching out. I would never, ever thought about running a marathon if it wasn't for the Run Club. And individual plans, like we had plans for everybody. Had brought in a PT studio as well, like physical therapy to make sure everyone stays healthy. Of course, we have On supporting as well. We have Electrolyte and other sponsors that are supporting just to make sure this journey is comfortable for everyone, that they feel supported, that they have value. That's the biggest thing. What value can you provide to your people? So that purpose was a little different. But then we also have people, like I said, that move to the city and they don't know anybody. So their purpose may be different than what the marathon group's running. They just want to find their group, their home, their network. So 5 years from now with the Run Club, I would just say this. My purpose is the same, to foster an inclusive environment for the community around us, still maintain the 48 miles and the 48 for change. That's never going to change. That's one of our pillars. And I'm going to let the runners determine what we need. So for example, I'm currently looking for a nutritionist to help support the Run Club. In 2023, we had 175 runners run. We had 190 sign up. 15 of them got injured during training, so we brought in a PT to help with that. This year, we had some people struggle with bonking, with dehydration, bringing in a nutritionist to help support that journey. So whatever I can do to support the people along the way, I'm going to build that out.
Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, rate the podcast 5 stars, and share with a friend. If you have any questions or comments, DM us at Finding Founders Podcast on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Finding Founders is produced and hosted by me, Samuel Don.
Our audio editing team lead is Ashley Jimenez, with support from
Jessica Morales,
Miley Lipton, Siyu Pan,
Kenny Ray,
Josie Yo,
Matt Fernandez,
and Merritt Hill.
Our outreach and research team lead is Desiree Nunez, with support from
Marissa Granados,
Monica Lee,
Sarah Tiersma,
and Yao Will.
To see more of what we're up to, subscribe to our newsletter at findingfounders.co. Thanks again for listening, and see you next week.